Jack Smith's DOJ probes into Trump. We have news on both the classified documents prosecution and the open Jan6 probe he's conducting. Now, beginning with the insurrection probe, NBC News breaking the story that at least 5 Secret Service agents have testified before Smith's Jan6 grand jury, which means they're complying with the subpoenas they received. Now, that's a major development. We knew agents had addressed other matters. This is the first report today that Donald Trump's own Secret Service agents are testifying about Jan6, a sign of how Smith's investigation continues to grind towards accountability for that insurrection. And while there is understandable deference to the Secret Service's role in protecting officials, doesn't mean they're above complying with law enforcement. In fact, they are an arm of law enforcement. And the reason there's interest here in their testimony is, among other things, because of what witnesses have already said Donald Trump demanded of his agents that day. Like the White House aide who memorably told Congress Trump clashed with agents because he wanted to join his fans as they stormed the Capitol.
The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Renato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
Now, that scene sounded important partly because of its sheer physicality, lunging, the cursing, clavicle. And that's part of testimony, whether you're watching a courtroom drama, a film, or, yes, the real news. Those hearings, of course, had an aspect of trying to tell the story. But now that we're getting real progress and heat on this coup, let me tell you what's more important, what that substantively revealed. That the agents made some kind of legal or security decision to refuse the acting president, the then commander-in-chief's order and physical effort to go to the Capitol. Why? Why was that a clash, and why was Trump so intent on going? This sounds bad for him, but I don't mean it as a criticism. I just mean, let's say in plain English, what was revealed. He was trying to go join the violence in progress. Let me repeat. The testimony there, which now these Secret Service agents may be asked about, was that Donald Trump was issuing what prosecutors would call an unlawful order. Hey, go bomb my political opponents. Unlawful, illegal, unconstitutional. That's the only kind of order that people in the chain of command can lawfully reject for obvious reasons. Hey, go join the insurrection. Hey, bring me with armed guards to join what became a convicted sedition so that, again, if you imagine that the agents didn't interfere, according to the testimony, so that Donald Trump, as the sitting president, would walk up the steps of the Capitol with his armed guards, who work for you, by the way. You pay their salaries. They swear an oath to uphold the Constitution, not any random person, including, in this case, a defeated outgoing president. Walk up the steps to join the fans who were battering police officers and now we know legally committing sedition, some of them. That is a huge deal. And if, as I say it, it sounds sort of harsh, like I said, or sounds critical, it is just the testimony. And the question is, will Jack Smith use what he's getting from these Secret Service agents and other sources to build a case about the people who didn't ultimately join? In other words, was it an attempted crime but not a completed one? Was there conspiring off-site? Remember, Jack Smith has yet to bring any charges against anyone, not just the president, but if he finds wrongdoing by someone else in government or out of government who was not physically storming but plotting, well, he can go to Garland and go and try to bring those charges. He hasn't done that against a single person yet, and the reason people are nervous is he just proved in a very big way he ain't afraid of charging anybody. So people who thought a year ago, while Garland and the DOJ was slow walking it, while Washington Post was reporting that people were afraid to even say Trump's name inside DOJ, those folks who might have been involved in this or that, they're looking a little different right now. They're wondering what these agents are saying and what the testimony is going to show and what other evidence they have. And they're drawing on testimony from another Trump vet, Michael Roman, about the plot to create the pro-Trump electors in swing states that were won by Biden. That's the New York Times' very diplomatic way of referring to alleged elector fraud, won by Biden, but putting Trump electors in there. As I've told you before, when black and brown people do that, it's often called voter fraud right up front, not all the Mickey Mouse extra diplomatic language. We're talking about illegal false electors. That's the plot we've reported on. And we're talking about at least 2 people who were false electors who we know have now cut deals with Smith's probe. Now, that plot is one of several. You can see the lanes here. Lawsuits and electors started up top and started out green in this taxonomy we reported because, in all fairness, initially, they wouldn't obviously be illegal. They turn yellow or red if after the duly appointed electors are chosen and seated and the Electoral College certifies them, people are still walking around trying to commit fraud. This is the scheme they're focused on. It's a lot going on. Jack Smith is leading this probe into the insurrection and the related plots. He hasn't charged anyone. He's also working on the prosecution of Donald Trump himself at trial. The presiding judge there set that date we told you before, about August. And we told you at the time it could get delayed. Now Smith is the one asking for more time. 4 months later, for a December trial, is the request in order to handle security clearances and deal with all the evidence, the transcripts, the interviews. There's a hearing next month on the classified issues, and there was a new ruling today from the judge dealing with one of Jack Smith's requests about trying to keep Trump and his team from, for example, leaking things they want to be secret. Now, how is Trump handling all this? Well, the Times reports that Donald Trump is rolling towards this trial with his mind on his money and his money on his mind. And he's moving money that he's raised away from the campaign to pay assorted personal legal fees for the many legal headaches he and his allies apparently face.